Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the medium in the middle. This podcast is going to walk you through my journey into mediumship and how I came to realize that I could communicate with souls that have passed over. My adventure started just over a year ago when unusual situations started happening to me. It wasn't until I really started to pay attention to them that it all started to come together. I wrote down everything that I was experiencing this past year in a little black book, and this podcast is going to be a recap of all of those memories leading up to where I am today in my mediumship journey. I will be releasing new episodes every Tuesday, and I recommend listening to the podcast in order, starting with episode 1, as my story will unfold more week by week. If you would like to stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram at mediuminthemiddle. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 47. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And welcome back if you are a listener. Welcome if you're a new listener. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle, and this is my story. So in today's episode, we're going to be actually talking about Akashic Records a little bit more. I'm going to explain how you can read your own Akashic Records. I'm going to give you some snippets from Akashic Record Readings because I do record them, so just so you can experience what it sounds like. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about Akashic Records. If you are an iTunes user and you haven't already, I would love a rating and review. It really helps me out in the podcast world. So thank you so much to everyone who has left a review. I love reading them. It just takes a few moments of your time and it really helps me out in the podcast world. So thank you. And if you didn't know, I am offering distance Reiki and Akashic Record readings online. So you can book those with me at www.themediuminthemiddle.com. I am also running an online level 1 Reiki course. Super exciting. So the first one sold out, but I am running a second date. So the second date still has a few spots available. It is September 26th and 27th. So if you want to get Reiki level 1 certified, there are still spots available. It is available all over the world. Definitely time zone dependent. I am in Mountain Standard Times. All the information is also on my website. And if you want more information about the course, if you check out my Instagram, I do have a little IGTV there that will talk about the course more in detail. But any questions, feel free to send me an email about it, a DM. I answer everything. So I want to make sure that you feel really good about it. Before we begin, I'm going to pull a card. I pull every week from the Colette Baron Reid Enchanted Map deck. I am looking to get another deck. I just haven't been able to find it yet. I might order it online. We'll see. But I do really enjoy this deck. And today I pulled the card Goblins. It's card number 5. If you want to see the card, go over to my Instagram. I always post a picture of it there. So I'm going to read the card description for card number 5. So the card description: fear is an illusion. Choose love today. Forgive yourself and others. The full card description: goblins are born when you're wounded and something essential is lost in that experience. From that point on, as you forget your wholeness, they remain with you in the shadows. There, they remind you of what brought them into being. By mimicking your own voice, tricking you into believing that you're unworthy, victimizing, or unlovable. They hold you hostage through low self-worth, self-sabotage, and the feeling that you're lacking what you need. If goblins pay you a visit, know that they represent the shadows of your own self or someone else, and that they're leading you into a potentially reactive situation. A goblin's card appearance is an opportunity for growth and a signal that you must love yourself. No human is without flaws. The goblin's message is that you must release resentments and negative self-talk. Within you is the spark of the divine. Ask Spirit to help heal you. Miracles can and do happen. Let go of the negativity. Ooh. So this card is definitely sitting with me. It's funny, I have a friend staying over, and yesterday we were just talking about work and we were talking about business, and I said a few things, I guess, that were negative. And when we met up later on in the evening, she said, Steph, I have to call you out on this. You're just being so negative about this. Like, you're saying that you won't be able to do this and you won't be able to find this space and you won't be able to. She's like, you need to completely change your language. You know, if you ask for it, you'll get it. Like, why are you being negative about it? And I sat back for a moment and I was like, oh my God, you're so right. I said, fear definitely holds me back. And I know that if I ask for it, I'll get it. And that's scary. So I'm sitting here in a place where I'm not asking for it. So this card definitely resonates with me and a conversation that I just had yesterday. So I hope it resonates with you. Let me know. I always try to pull a card and ask like what the listeners need to know, what everybody just needs a little reminder for this week. So I just put out on my Instagram that I'm going to be doing a Get to Know Me episode. So if you have questions that you want me to answer, please go over to my Instagram and submit them, and I will be doing a whole podcast episode on it. But I did want to pull a card today from Cool to Connect. So my friend Dana, who was on the podcast, also known as Tara, she came out with a product called Cool to Connect. So they're playing cards that ask you prompting questions to get you to connect more. So I thought I'd pull one, support a fellow boss babe, and answer a question. So I pulled the card, if you really knew me, you would know that, ... And I would say you would know that I'm not a morning person, like at all. I don't say good morning. I don't do anything in the morning. When I used to have roommates, I just wouldn't speak in the morning. I don't respond if you talk to me. It's actually a little hilarious and rude, I know. But yeah, if you really knew me, you would know that I am not a morning person. The earliest thing I do in the week is I teach a yoga class at 10:30, and they actually just changed it because they know that even 10:30 is early for me. So I come alive around 11 a.m. And before that, I'm just dead to the world. I'm nose deep in coffee. I can drink like 6 cups of coffee in the morning. Easy. And I'm like a night hawk. I don't like to get up. So yeah, there's my answer. If you really knew me, you would know that I am not a morning person. Okay, let's jump into this episode because I'm really excited to talk about it. So I've been getting a lot of questions about Akashic Records. What are they? How does it work? And I know I already have 2 episodes on this topic. So if you haven't listened to those episodes, I would recommend, well, you could listen to this one first, but if you want more information, definitely check them out. So the episodes that I have on Akashic Records are episode 34, Akashic Records What? And episode 36, diving deeper into the Akashic Records. So in those 2 episodes, I talk about what the Akashic Records are, and then I talk about more going deeper into it. In this episode, I want to talk about more what you would experience in an Akashic Record readings. I am going to have clips from readings that I've done because I record all my readings and just give you more of an experience of what you would experience if you booked an Akashic Record session with me or really with anyone. Okay, so I've gone over this before, but I'm just going to go over it again for the sake of this episode. So in an Akashic Record reading, you would have about 10 questions prepared that you wanted to ask inside your records. And the questions are about you. They start with how, what, or why. So the records won't tell you about the future. They won't tell you when you're going to get engaged. They won't tell you about other people. They won't tell you about past lives. So this isn't like, what was I in my last life? Or what am I carrying from past lives? No. It's more about like what you're experiencing right now and what you need to know. So they use the information from your records to try to explain things to you to help you out. So really good questions to ask are like, what am I not seeing in this situation? What can I learn from this relationship? Why am I having such difficulty with? Why do I find that I'm always in this type of patterns? Why do I have such a difficult time breaking this pattern? Or any question about your life as it is now and what information could help you for it. And you can really like give the whole backstory of the question. So like the longer the question is, the better, because number one, it goes off of your spoken word. So I'll have you say your name 3 times at the beginning, literally just so I can hear your voice. But the more that you talk, the better. It is very conversational. So I'm not just talking at you. You're talking back, you're engaging, and it's a two-way street. So you want to make sure you have 10 questions ready. You need your full legal name. And I always record the sessions because in the records, I can talk fast and information is kind of flowing and they're just truth bombs dropping everywhere. So although you can take notes, sometimes it's nice to just be present and then listen back. But either way, you get both. So I always say have a pen and paper ready, but you'll also get a recording. So I'm going to show you a few snippets of a recording just so you can get the gist of some answers. And this specific person asked like a really good question that could be very generalized. So I also wanted to share this answer because when we were done and I was out of her records, I was like, whoa, like that was such a cool way of explaining it. And like I definitely even learned something from your reading just with the way that her records were explaining things. It was very eye-opening for me. So I'm going to share that with you now. The question that she asked was about what past trauma was she holding and what she was kind of bringing forward from a past life. And this was the answer. But the answer is very well-rounded, and I just want to share it with you. So just that was the question, and then this was the answers inside the records.
It's interesting the words that you use to form your question. So we, instead of thinking of it as a block or something that's like stopping you from doing something, as we said with the first one, we really want you to think of experiences that happen to you as a lesson or something that's forming who you are. So sometimes bad things will happen to us or a negative situation will happen to us, but from that we become a bigger and stronger person, or from this experience this happens. So there's almost like a cause and effect. So while nothing is really a block or something that you can't get through, there is always a lesson behind it, and there is always something that we can kind of dig deeper into. And what you want to dig deeper into, what we mean by this is the understanding of the why. Okay, why did this happen? What did I learn from this? What can I take from this? Why? And really going into it. So while we don't want you to think of them as a block or a negative thing, they all are almost like stepping stones moving you forward. And it might take you a while to understand the lesson or understand why that happened. But in the grand scheme of things, your life does have a path, and not everything is going to be rainbows and butterflies walking through with nothing that's going to kind of stop you on your path, or that's going to put you in a position that's not going to be desirable maybe, but you're going to learn from that and you're going to become a bigger, stronger person from that, or you're going to learn a mistake and then just never do it again. Sometimes we need to learn by doing, and we could sit here and I could tell you every lesson you ever need to learn, but until you experience it yourself, it's not going to really land, and it's not going to stick with you through those lifetimes. So as you're still feeling those residuals from past lifetimes where those lessons are still carrying through into this lifetime, there's going to be other things that happen to you that are going to continue on through you. So sometimes a lesson can take an entire lifetime, or sometimes a lesson can just take a day. But if you're wanting to kind of break through that or break the cycle or understand quicker, dig into the why and really focus and ask yourself, what can I be learning here? What can I be doing here? Who am I going to be on the other side of this? What's going to happen if I experience this? What's going to happen if I don't experience this? And kind of seeing it from all angles, not just one dimension, almost like a sphere where you can come at it at any direction and it makes sense in any different way that you look at it, but it's going to be a different answer. So it's really getting curious into what we're experiencing in this lifetime and what we're going through and how this is going to help you in the future, and how this is also building you to be who you're going to be.
So I really wanted to give you an example of what it sounds like to get an answer in the records. So that was me. That was a copy paste from a session. And this next question is a very common question. So I want to share the answer that was given. The answer is always different, but this is just a good example. A common question to ask in the records is, what is my soul's purpose? And I just wanted to share this because the records will never tell you exactly what you're meant to do. They'll kind of tell you to trust what you already know. So while this is a question that you can ask, you're not going to get anything specific from them because we still have free will. So I'm going to share that.
Okay, good. So what we want you to know is that you're almost like, you're not, how do I say this? You're not off your path. But you're not feeling completely fulfilled because it's almost like you're not fully on the path. It's kind of like one foot's on the road, one foot's off the road. So there's this weird kind of understanding, but not understanding. Like I get it, but I don't really get it. And I want to know, but I don't really know. And there's this almost divide. So what we want you to do is we want you to really focus inwards and listen to yourself, because we know that your gut, we know that your feeling already knows, but it's just having the courage and the will to really follow it. Because knowing what we need to do is one thing, but then actually doing it is a completely other thing. interesting, because that's the hard part. And that's the part where we really need to get into it and do the work. So what we want you to do is start listening to those little whispers, because you already half get it. You're already half there. But what you're wanting is more fulfillment. You're wanting to be fully on the road. You're wanting both feet together. You're not wanting the split. And we want you to listen, and we want you to say yes to opportunities that you think might be something. And then when they aren't, that's okay. Don't think of it as a kick in the bum and that you're being sent on the wrong way. Think of it as a lesson that's bringing you where you need to go. But in life, what we all need to remember is that if we're walking down a path, we're walking down the path we're meant to be on at that time for a reason, for a lesson, or for something we need to experience. We're never going down the wrong way, because eventually you'll find your way back. So if you're doing a little detour, that's okay, because you're going to be learning lessons, you're going to be perking up experiences, and you might even be meeting people who are then going to help you when you come back onto that main road. So right now, there's that split, and really dig into what are you feeling, what are you wanting, and you're going to have to listen to the whisper. And the whisper is going to be really, really quiet at first, and it's going to be really hard for you to hear, and it's going to be really hard, not really hard, it's going to be harder to distinguish that yes and the no, the this or that. It's going to be really hard to distinguish it for you. But then as you pay attention to it more and more, your whisper will get louder, your understanding will be stronger, and you'll know quicker. But right now it's going to be almost like the muddy waters, when it's a little bit harder to figure out. But once we keep following the path, it'll become more clear for you. So what we want you to do is really sit with yourself and dive inwards, because you already know, and there's this sense of knowing, but it still is a whisper right now. So really blossom that to become bigger, and almost like nurture any possibilities. So sometimes what we think in our head might happen might just be the path that we start walking on until we find our next path. So there's always going to be things that are connected that you might not even know that are connected until you're on the road again.
So a common theme that happens in the records is that a lot of the questions will have the same theme. So the last question will kind of answer the next question, and they'll all feed off of each other. But the records will keep going with answers, because sometimes you need to know a little bit deeper. Sometimes you need to have something explained different ways. So I find that usually people will have the same type of themes for their question, and the records will go over the same things over and over again. And that's good, because that's what you need to know right now. So you don't need to know everything right now, and that's not helpful if they gave you all the information right now. Okay, so the last snippet that I want to share is a good one, because you'll definitely not always get the answers that you want in the Akashic Records. So I wanted to share this snippet. When we were doing our training, they kind of compared intuition versus Akashic Records and how to know the difference and how to distinguish the two. And I think one of the biggest difference is the records won't fluff things for you, where your intuition might kind of tell you what you want to hear. You might sugarcoat things, you might avoid things. The records will not. So here is an example of that.
So there's going to be something from you that you're not going to like this answer. A sense of vulnerability on your end, and really letting down the walls and letting down the guard. So knowing that your friends and your relationships and people in your life are there to support you, and there's no sense of dumping. There's no sense of being a burden. There's no sense of like the people that are in your life want to be in your life, and they're going to take any version of you. You don't always have to be the best version of you. You can be the lowest version of you, and they're still going to love you and accept you at that version. And just knowing that that's okay. And it's okay to share your struggles as well as your triumphs, but knowing that your friends are going to be your friends on a bad day and on a good day. But it's really important for you to know that even on a bad day, your friends are still going to love you and be there to support you and your family. And just being able to be vulnerable and open and have those like honest and real conversations, because you do have those and you do have those connections. But if you're wanting to make things deeper with more people, it's really going to be showing that sensitive side of yourself to people so that they can kind of come in the door. So almost like opening the door for them to come in instead of them being around long enough. And finally you're like, okay, I'll open the door and you can come in. Does that make sense?
Okay, and the last snippet that I want to share, just because her records were giving such good analogies, is something that I think everyone can kind of take away from. So I'm just going to share this snippet of how they explain things within the question.
And know that when you push through the difficulties is really going to be after, the top of the mountain is always the highest part, the hardest part to climb, but then you're at the top. So know that those difficult parts aren't to hold you back. They're to see if you really want it. Are you going to make it to the top of the mountain?
Okay, so I hope those kind of snippets gave you an idea of what it's like inside the records. It really is driven by your questions, so it's really important to have your questions ready before you book your session, because that's what's driving the session. You need to have questions to ask inside your records because they won't tell you unless you ask, and it needs to be information that you need to know right now. So the more specific, the better. If you ask something general, they're going to give you a general answer. Now I kind of want to talk about how you can go into your own records. So anyone can enter the records. You don't need a person to do it for you. But the way that I like to explain it is, yes, I took a course. Yes, I've done a lot of practice. I've spent many hours in the records. And when I first did the course, the first time you practice, you go into the records for like 30 seconds. So you say the entering prayer, you sit there for a second, and then you leave. And then the next time you go in, you ask one question, and then you leave. So it took me a lot of practice, like between 30 and 50 people, to be able to stay in the records now for 30 minutes. And when I'm done near the end of the session, either my sentences will stop or my words will start be like, and they won't come out. And I'll know that the time's up. And I'll know that I have to leave. It also can be that information overload and the sitter is done receiving, and that's enough for the day. So while you can definitely learn yourself, by going to someone else, it's getting their experience in working with the records. So that's the only difference. So if you want to learn, there's many books that you can read, and they will literally tell you how to do it. They'll tell you what to say to get in, what you need to do, how to practice. You can take a course and do it. But anyone and everyone has access to their records and other people's records. When you're going into someone else's records, you need their permission. So you can't just go into your ex-boyfriend's records because you want to know. No. You need their permission. So that's why when we're doing sessions together, the person is giving me their permission to enter their records. They're giving me their name to enter their records. They're saying it's okay. And when you're learning about this, you'll learn that like you can go into the records of dogs and houses and businesses, but you need the permission of that person to go into those things. So I hope that makes sense. But there's many books that you can get. I've shared before the book that I used, How to Read the Akashic Records, by Linda Howe, but you can get any book about the Akashic Records. So they all have different entry prayers, and they usually say whatever book you're drawn to is the prayer that you need to be using to access the records. So if you're interested, grab a book, start practicing, go into your own records, and build it up. You can always have a session to experience it and then kind of try it for yourself, but this isn't something that you need to be specially selected to do. Everyone has access to the records. They're your soul's experiences, so you can definitely access them. So you can get those books or any books. This is not sponsored by Linda Howe. That's just the course that I took was about her book. That's what's been working for me, but it did take me a very long time to build up to 30 minutes. And I know people that offer an hour Akashic Record sessions or an hour and a half, and I'm just not there yet. And to be honest, I don't think anyone needs that much information at once. Within 30 minutes, you're going to have your mind blown. And in an hour and a half, I just feel like that's just too much. You wouldn't absorb anything. So that's my experience. I hope that's helpful. I hope that kind of gives you an example of what to expect in an Akashic Record reading, how to be prepared for a reading, what you can ask in the reading, what the answers that you'll get. So they're never specific because you always have free will, but they'll always give you all your options. And they'll kind of explain things in a way that you need to hear it or you need to understand. And that's what I really like about the records. I need to go into my own records. I've been writing out the questions, but they're truth bombs when you go in, so you need to be ready to hear it. And sometimes you're not ready yet, and that's fine. I always say when you have your questions ready, book the appointment. So if you do want to book an appointment with me, you can book one on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. It's available all over the world, no matter where you are. So thank you for listening to this episode. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned something. I release new episodes every Tuesday, so if you subscribe, I will pop up in your library every Tuesday. Again, if you are an iTunes user, I would love a rating and a review. If you want to book an appointment with me, all the links are in my show notes, and I will see you all next Tuesday. Have a wonderful week. Bye, guys.